Hi, I'm Sean, aka Wizard. Beer has always been a passion for me, from collecting cans as a kid, to tasting the great flavors of craft beer as I got old enough, and eventually becoming head brewer. We're very lucky here in the state of Florida to have one of the most vibrant craft beer scenes in the country, and we're going to bring it right to you. So come on the journey with us. Maybe you'll learn some things, and maybe you'll even have a laugh. And of course, it'll be even more fun if we have a few brews with us. The brews, the brewers, and the beer culture. This is Drinking with Wizard. Cheers to you. And when we go inside and talk to Gordon, Tommy, and Ryan, the assistant brewer, we're going to find out about it. Let's go in and talk to them. Let's see what's going on, man. Welcome to Unrefined. Unrefined. Told you we'll be here. And we're here with the owners and assistant brewer. This is Tommy, the owner, Gordon, the owner and brewer, and Ryan, bartender extraordinaire, but I bet you didn't know it. Maybe you did, but maybe you didn't. He's also the assistant brewer. So,
indeed.
So welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to Drinking with Wizard.
So, thank you for having us.
That's fantastic. So let's do our first cheers to you already. Cheers, cheers, cheers. And cheers to you. So let's start with, whose idea was this in the first place? Like, how the heck did this all turn about? So, I know. Wait, first of all, I know you guys are from downtown Pittsburgh, but not really downtown. You're from the
South Hills.
South Hills. Well, I'm from the South Hills too. So.
Oh yeah, you're Baldwin and Peters. We're right up there.
Oh, oh yeah.
Yeah.
But you're both Peters. Though.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean the
township.
Peters Township. But where the whole started, my brother over here bought me a Mr. Beer kit like 12 years ago, and I made one beer off of it, and I'm like, this is stupid, who wants to use a kit? So I bought like a stupid like kettle and propane burner, and we started brewing on my backyard, in my back porch, with a bunch of friends, and we never remembered what the recipe was because we get hammered in our bottle shares. And my wife was like, "You need to open a brewery. You need to open a brewery." I'm like, "No." So then we're in New Orleans for her 40th, and
it's Mardi Gras.
And it's Mardi Gras. And,
Of course.
And one of our good
some people have already heard.
One of our good friends and neighbor, who's also an owner, Tony Guitarist, is like, "Hey, look at this building in Tarpon that's for sale." And I'm like, "Cool, that was a tap room. We could turn it into a brewery." And we're drinking, and he's like, "Who's in?" And I'm like, "I'm in." Tom said he's in. Another guy, Alan from Houston, says he's in. Another guy, Ed from New Jersey, says he's in. 10 minutes later, Tony goes, "The offer was accepted." We're like, "What?"
While you're drinking drinks.
Yeah,
at Mardi Gras.
It was a good day in Mardi Gras in New Orleans.
What was the bar? You're upstairs at
We were at Upstairs Pub, or Avenue Pub, and in 15 minutes, Tony put the offer in and told us they had accepted the offer, so we flew home, and myself, my wife, Tony and his wife came to look at the building, so we pretty much bought it sight
I was
unseen.
gonna say, a couple questions here. Number one, did you know the guy from New Jersey who was just sitting next to you?
No! We knew him. Yeah.
Okay, well that's good.
We knew.
And then number two, did you even know where Tarpon Springs was at the time?
I personally did not. I had
Three
never
of the
heard
people
of it.
didn't. We would go to Fred Howard to the beach, and that's it. Tony, who's not here, who's another owner, he's from Newport Richey, so he knew.
Okay, he's new.
He knew he knew Tarpon. He said regardless, end of the story, he was going to buy the building regardless because he's in real estate.
Right.
So even if we all backed out, but we went there, and I said to Tony, "Is this a good
But you
deal?"
guys have never seen Tarpon, never do anything.
Never, yeah, nothing.
Sounds like a great plan.
Yeah.
We threw 30 grand from New Orleans. We wired the money in from Avenue Pub. I was about 3 sheets to the wind at the time, and I had never been to Tarpon or heard
There
of it
goes all your
before.
drinking money.
Yeah.
I was living in Houston. I woke up Monday morning and called him after I got back from New Orleans in Houston. And I
Is
called
this
him.
like the Hangover story? Like,
Yeah, what do we do? I said, what do we do? And then I said, where's Tarpon Springs? And now I live here.
That's amazing.
But some of the best decisions are made impulsively drunk.
I would actually proffer that in this business so far, we're going to hit 4 years in July.
Okay.
That all of our decisions that have been made impulsively drunk have worked out wonderfully, and half of the decisions we've made that we've sat down and thought about have worked out disastrously. So we're hitting 100% drunk,
Well, cheers to that.
50% sober.
Cheers to that.
Hey,
And I will say, cheers to you.
all the best beer names come when you're drunk. So
Yeah.
that's
And you never know. We're drinking with Wizard. You might have a really epiphany and a in the future
very
after
true.
you've had done the show.
yeah.
Now you kind of know why we're called Unrefined Brewing. Nothing's refined about what we do.
Yeah. Again, I mean, it all started more or less on my back porch getting drunk brewing beer.
Right.
And then getting drunk in New Orleans. And here we are.
Back to what you were doing, I like your fortitude because, most people, I'm telling you, there's probably millions of people get that Mr. Beer kit, and 90% of them think, "Oh my God, beer sucks, this is terrible, I can't make beer." But you realize, it's just a system, like, this is garbage, I'm gonna try, and you just went all in.
I can make this better.
Yeah.
And so you were the instigator that
Oh,
started
and I
all
got
this,
the
really.
phone call about a month later from my sister-in-law. She was not happy of how much money I was costing because he went all in.
He went
Yeah,
for it.
yeah, you went all grain too.
Well,
like this.
yeah, well, I look at cooking. It's like cooking. It's boring. If you follow a recipe, it's boring.
Yes.
You've got to make it your own. Again, when I'm cooking, same thing is like my wife's like, "That was good. How'd you make that?" I'm like, "I don't remember. I just kind of threw together."
Oh, you had to, you were still starting with a particular recipe.
Yeah, but you
something.
kind of made it your own.
Yeah, you make it
and
your own.
you know, if you follow a specific recipe, that's not your own. That's someone
Correct.
else's, right? So you've got to make it your own, and I think that's what we do now, which we do a great job. But
Well-
I think even when talking to Ryan about different recipes, a lot of people use computer programs, Beersmith, etc. I don't use anything. It's longhand. It's, hey, what malts do I want to put in this beer to make it taste better? What hops? Again, it's all, and I preface this by, it's all based on your taste, right? And we have Ed, who we talked about, he's learning how to brew, and I said, "Ed, the main thing learning how to brew, drink everything and understand what you like, and then you've got to understand what's in that beer.
And why do you like it?
That beer. Is it because of the Victory malt? Is it because of the Vienna malt? Is it because of a certain hop? Is it because of the yeast?
Special yeast.
And people don't understand that when they get into brewing. They just look at a recipe and brew it, but they don't understand why does it taste like that. It tastes like that because of the ingredients in it. So that's what we do to build a recipe. what do we want it to taste like? Do we want, what do you want in it? And then you build that grist up, that grain bill up.
Well, that's true. And when you're using multiple ingredients, like say you're doing a sour, and you want to put 2 flavors in, you have to know what one flavor is going to do with the other one.
Right, all together, yeah.
If you just put in equal portions, it's not necessarily going to turn out very well. Like one may overshadow the other, and you just have to kind of know that.
Right.
Trial and error and knowing. Like what you want to taste.
Right, exactly.
You might want more of the one and less of the other, but who knows? Somebody else might want a reverse of that.
Yeah, we have fun. I'm kind of the push the boundary crazy idea guy. Like he it turns out a lot of my ideas and like flavors and recipes and stuff, but sometimes they get through and they work right, and it's like, we're
going to get to that pretty soon.
Yeah, pretty sure. We don't have one of those beers up here. But
I'm pretty sure some of your stuff's getting through.
One of my favorite ideas that he had was Mike and Ike's.
Yes.
And we did a Mike and Ike sour. I wanted to kill him when I was cleaning it up. because
literally, he was Mike and Ike.
Yeah, they congealed. But that beer was
60 pounds.
That beer was so awesome. It tasted like Mike and Ike's.
It was
And I'm like, it was so good, but it was like cleanup. It was a pain in the ass.
So you're going to make that one again?
I want to.
Eventually.
It was that good. You heard how
some
bad
other-
the cleanup was? But they're still going to do it again. So look for Mike and Ike.
Some other
cheers to
candy
that
sours,
creativity.
if it works.
Cheers to the crazy
Cheers,
creativity.
absolutely.
I think that as the name is Unrefined, it's also cheers to you. It's still about creativity. That's what I found amazing about Unrefined. It's almost like they are unrefined, which means to me no boundaries. Like there isn't a set. Like you just said, it's not set in basic robotic ways. It's creativity and whatever they feel, whatever sticks to the wall and they want to try it, it works. And so that's the beauty of it. And their style of beers and what they do, they're flying in the face of like tradition. They have traditional background. You have to have it to make it make sense. But they fly in the face of that and put weird stuff together. And it works. It works. Trust me. If you've never been here, you got to get here because this stuff really works.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. What Ryan's drinking, a Game of Horseshoes, we put it back on. That is a dark Neapolitan sour.
Right.
Most people look at it, it looks like a stout, but it's a sour. And you guys were the ones that were serving it. I just brew it and I get out of the way.
People tell me all the time when I pour it, they're like, "Oh, I asked for a sour. That's not the right beer." No, it is. I promise. Taste it.
Yeah, and we do a white stout. I mean, there's things that we do that everyone's like. I remember the white stout. We're like, oh, I can't believe you're doing this. Pit of despair. People love it. That sour. People are like, why are you doing a dark sour? I'm like, why not?
Why not? Because you can.
Yeah.
And it's probably amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't tasted it yet,
fantastic.
but I guarantee you a little later when we do some tastings, I'm going to probably claim that as a Wizard's pick for sure. It's just amazing. Right? So you said you've been open about 4.5 years,
It'll be
correct?
4 years, July 5th.
And this is the original place you opened, right?
Yep.
So where is the actual location for people who have never been here? Where would they come?
We're in Tarpon Springs, Florida, 312 East Tarpon Avenue. It's the main drag right now going into Tarpon. We're pretty much the first business you're going to see coming in. Beautiful old blue building that was built in 1912.
Gilded
nice
Age.
patio. The
Yes.
Gilded Age.
The Gilded Age.
It's in the historic area of Tarpon as well, so that's really cool. And we've slowly done some things. We added a game room. We got a stage out back now where we do concerts on First Fridays. We sometimes have music on our front patio, and we've got amazing neighbors, amazing restaurants down the road. So it's downtown Tarpon is just growing. It's really the place to be right now.
And I'll say, I always tell people, where is it? It's in between 19 and alternate 19.
Right.
So
On
if
Tarpon.
if you are in between 19 and alternate 19, you can't miss it.
Right. And for those that are into the beer scene a little bit, it's the old Bob Silvestri place too. That's where he used to come and used to, when he was in Maine, part of Tarpon. This is where he was for a hot moment. So
Yeah, absolutely. The other cool thing is we're getting more breweries here in Tarpon, so it's
Yeah.
not just one stop shop. A lot of people want to check out other places.
Exactly.
There's also a wine society, and there's a lot to do.
Right.
There's an awesome arcade.
Distillery here.
Yeah. So-
Yeah,
Which-
and I like to mention to people, I think this is cool. This is really cool. If you look at big cities and you look at small towns, when you look at Tarpon Springs, you look at the craft companies that are in Tarpon Springs. And you've got us we've won now 5 medals in the U.S. Open Beer Championships.
Awesome. Cheers to that.
And we just won a Best Florida Beer silver medal. You've got
here's to you.
Five Branches Brewing, who won a gold for their stout in the World Beer and US in the Great American. You've got Two Frogs, who was just named like the runner-up for best small brewery in Florida, and you've got Brighter Days, who have won a couple of best Florida beer medals. The Tarpon Distillery just won gold for their whiskey, and they have a gold for Ouzo. And our chocolate maker, which our stout that we'll be trying later, our Schmorios, we use her chocolate. She just won a gold medal for best dark chocolate in the world.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that is all in Tarpon Springs.
All right.
So I don't know what's in the water here, but go to a big city and
rich
have
craft culture.
and have those other.
Right, artisanal.
You're not going to see that many concentration of award-winning craft
Right.
Anywhere else.
Within,
Tarpon
within
is
a mile of each other.
we're all within a mile, so it's perfect for people to come because you can visit them all.
Right. And I've talked about it on the show before, and I was like, we just got through doing a whole series on Newport Richey and how there's a beer culture starting to develop in Newport Richey with 3 different breweries, and they're going to be a 4th. And we're back here in Tarpon, and like you just said, there's a bunch of breweries. I've done most of the breweries in Tarpon too, and the award-winning breweries, and the whole agglomeration kind of thing where it's a good place to come. It's not bad to go to a standalone brewery that they're doing their own thing and they're out there and they're like forging the way. But you can't make a mistake when you come to Tarpon. You're going to find something good. If Unrefined, you're not really into sours and stouts and what they're doing, which I guarantee you will. But then Chad's down the road doing something different. You can find a style of beer in Tarpon you're going to love. So definitely got to make it a Tarpon. It's definitely a mecca of beer. And as Tommy just said, not only beer, but award-winning beer. So you can't go wrong coming here. Somebody's got an award at something. So, and if you aren't into beer, if you're somebody with us into beer, award-winning chocolate.
That we put in beer.
Yes.
So, cheers to that. That's amazing. So, and how did you know you were going to luck into that in Mardi Gras? Like, right?
Well,
here's you.
The other thing I'll say, which to me felt like destiny, was when we were opening up, next door was this old rundown pink building with a big pig in front of it because it was an old barbecue
I
place.
remember that.
And all of a sudden a new owner came in and they started building out, and we found out it's a Creole smokehouse. And we're just sitting there going, we made this decision in New Orleans, and after us, a high-end Creole Smokehouse opens up next to us, who has live music on the weekends that plays through our front porch.
Which is cool. I mean, it was originally a barbecue place.
Yeah.
But they just turned it up a notch.
Different level.
It's like they went
Cajun
bam!
barbecue fusion.
So this is the mini New Orleans strip of Tarpon Springs. It's Greek all down there. Here we're all Cajun.
So a little bit earlier, we were talking about First Friday and the community of Tarpon and all of the businesses that are here. So tell us about like coming in from outsiders and embracing Tarpon. How do you feel the vibe is in Tarpon, and how does Tarpon embrace you guys? And then not only that, but then how have you showed the love back to Tarpon for embracing you guys?
I personally feel that Tarpon has done a wonderful job in helping us become a business and wanting us to succeed as a small business. When we first opened, my background, I was in Houston for 20 plus years, and I did a lot of charity work, and I wanted to do that here. Cool. My point of view on the charity aspect of things is that, we've got an incredible platform to help others. Our job is to sell beer, but if we can sell beer and in this process help people, why not do it?
Exactly.
I think it's great for community, and one of the first things, and it was Gordon, it was his and his wife's idea, is when we first opened up, he didn't know how these batches of beer were going to come out on the new system. He'd never brewed in, at the time, 2-barrel system. So we made a decision for our first 4 batches of beer that 100% of the revenue we generated would go to Autism Speaks. And when you walked in, you would have seen the check up there. We wrote them a $7,500 check approximately right out of the gate. We didn't collect any revenue for the first couple months because we made that decision. We just didn't know. And the beer came out fantastic.
Of course.
But we did that. But we've continued to do things like that.
They sound surprised.
Hey, when you're jumping from a home system to 2-barrel.
I'm sure there was surprise towards the beginning.
But we participated in the Pediatric Cancer Florida Brewers Guild thing. There's still signs up there. Right. We just did we do a chili cook-off every year for a different charity. We just raised $1,000 for Fluff Animal Rescue. So what we try to do is attach a charity to any time we do a big event. Our anniversary, we attach a charity. So we just figure if we're celebrating, we also want to celebrate the community. and and we try to pick charities that they're not well known.
Right.
You know, Autism Speaks is near and dear to our family's hearts, so that's why we went there. But like Fluff Animal Rescue is an example. They're a small animal rescue out of Seminole. Not a lot of people knew about them.
Right.
So giving them the platform to let other people learn about them is
Yeah,
huge.
you're elevating their cause.
Yeah, so that's kind of from my perspective and being in charge of the tap room and the sales and the marketing is I definitely want people to be able to take advantage of our platform, and I think the community in Tarpon really appreciates that, and it's really helped us kind of really get into the center of the community and really do good things.
Right, that's awesome. So cheers to that. Cheers to your community involvement and all that you're doing for the good cause, and cheers to the amazing beers that go along with it. Cheers to you. So the main focus is the beers, and they're amazing, as it should be. But there's probably other stuff that you do to entertain and keep the crowds lively and coming back for different kind of things. So what do you got going in, as a gig kind of thing?
We did look. This May is going to be a little bit different, but we're typically looking to have concerts on First Friday out back. We've got a couple of new concerts coming up for June and July, and we'll continue that because First Friday is a really big event. Try to do a couple of concerts a month, a couple of things out front with live music. And we do some really strange one-off things. We do.
Of course, you're Unrefined.
We do flight. We'll come up with crazy flight specials. We'll come up. We've done euchre tournaments for the Midwestern folks who love the game.
We
euchre.
did Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, we did a screening of Rocky
That
Horror
wasn't
Picture
necessarily
Show.
for the Midwest.
Seinfeld trivia.
Totally different night. It wasn't euchre Rocky Horror Picture
Yeah.
Show night.
But that would be pretty cool.
We do every year. We do a Festivus party because I think Seinfeld is amazing.
I love a Festivus.
Yeah, we have a Festivus pole.
The Festivus poll and everything.
We even have
at a place I
Pizza
used to be,
Strip.
we had a Festivus poll too.
we even have traditional
Airing your
Festivus
grievances.
meal. We do have the meal too. No, they aired their grievances to me that night. They said my trivia was too hard. I will, for us though, one of the things, if you look, as you look around with the camera, this is an old house and the rooms are all separated, and it's really hard to do traditional events like trivia and bingo and stuff because of the acoustics and because everyone's so separated. So we really try to focus our events beer-based events, special beer releases. We'll do special barrel aged nights. We'll do special discounts on flights.
Cupcake flight pairing ones.
Cupcake
cool.
flight
That's cool.
pairings.
Yeah, that's nice.
We really want to focus on beer-focused events because I personally think, how cool is this as a job, by the way? My job is to brag about my younger brother and what he does.
That's amazing.
That is what it is. So why not do beer face
And tease him all the rest of the time.
Yeah, of
Hey,
course.
it used to be when they let me work behind the bar, it would just be Wu-Tang Saturdays, but now I've been thrown out.
Memorial Day.
Speaking
We will.
of,
Yep,
speaking of, in the history of Unrefined Brewing, there's only been one customer request to fire an employee behind the bar, and that was him, the brewer.
Too much Wednesday.
So he's been fired.
Too much Wu-Tang.
He's been fired from the brewery.
And a lot of people will be familiar with the restaurants like Dick's Last Resort. A lot of touristy places have something like that where it's like you
Yes.
go there for bad service.
Yes.
So after he got fired, we now have the idea. The annual day when he got fired, we're going to do like Gordon's bad service
Yes.
day. So customers can come
Yeah.
and order beer from Gordon
And he can
he'll
just
yell
be
at them and
But-
tell them about
but
flights being
Not
bad.
one beer and bad beer. It's going to be great beer.
The
Just-
beer will be great.
The
just
service
bad
will more than
service.
make up for how
And Wu-Tang Clan will be on as loud as possible.
Exactly. The bad
Aggressive-
service will make up for the good beer.
Aggressive music and,
Yeah.
and flight shaming is one
Yeah.
of Gordon's big things. But
Flight shaming and
You know
Wu-Tang Clan. I mean, that's the day.
Again, you make fun of it, but I would be here for that.
we have a lot of people who will. It'll be a fun event, actually.
I think you're going to have standing room only. I mean, why waiting to get in?
It's going to be good.
Okay, we're belly up at the bar, so we got to talk beers. Got to talk styles and beers, but really before we get into the all-star lineup on the tap, I always like to ask. So, we're all got into craft somewhere. So, who wants to start? But where did you get into craft? What was the first craft beer you said that you had, and you're like, holy crap, this is where it's at?
I had two.
Okay.
So I went to school at Indiana University in Bloomington, Indiana. So you had Goose Island, that was close, right?
The original Goose
You were
Island.
before InBev bought Goose Island.
Yeah.
and you had their Hex Nut Brown Ale. Hex Nut Brown Ale, it was delicious. I was like, saw it on tap in a few like higher end places in Bloomington, Indiana. Would have that. So that was the first draft craft beer I had. I was like, whoa, this is not Miller Lite or Busch
I've never
Light.
even had that one.
Yeah,
So it sounds good.
again, InBev doesn't make that shit anymore.
They just stick with the good
Yeah. It's a nut brown ale. But then the first beer that I bought in a bottle that was craft was Fuller's. They're Fuller's ESB and London Porter.
Of course, that's
and
amazing.
that's why I'm drinking Sir Cockney. When I did Sir Cockney, I would have loved to do, more of a cask ale, but Fuller's ESB is phenomenal in my mind. An unbelievable beer. Those were probably my two entryways into
Okay,
craft
so
beer.
before we get to him, like expand on the
Cockney?
The Cockney.
So the Cockney came up because I was in Scotland and Ireland, and everywhere you go, you have cask ales. Love cask ales. Then I go to Wild Rover, which is near my house, and they have an awesome ESB on cask. I'm like, this is awesome. I want to make an ESB, but no one will drink an ESB. What can I make? I want a little higher alcohol content than an ESB. Why don't I make a higher alcohol content ESB that isn't as carbonated, it's kind of looking like more of a cask ale, but we couldn't categorize it as an ESB because of the alcohol content.
Right.
So
what is the ABV?
We all decided at 6.3%. We all decided on an English strong ale.
Sure.
So
Strong ale.
It's a hybrid, but if people know what they're talking about, they're drinking it. This tastes like a higher alcohol content ESB.
Right.
Because ESB is one of my favorite styles.
Yeah, I love
that's
ESB.
out there, but no one buys it. Again, being an owner of a brewery, you gotta make beer that people will drink. But people still drink it.
They don't buy it, but they would drink it.
Yeah,
they just don't
would drink
understand it. It's a great beer.
Fuller's ESB is what that, and then Wild Rover's cask, and being in Scotland and Ireland and having their cask bitters kind of brought us to Sir Cockney, and it was on our old system. We brewed it on the new system. It actually was popular. I was like, this is awesome. I can brew more of it. So if I could do it whatever I wanted, it would be on cask, but we don't have a cask system.
Oh, awesome. And then you talked about, real quick, a newer system and an older system.
Yeah.
So you started with a smaller system?
Yeah, so it was a 2-barrel batch on the old system that was here, so then we upped it to a 10-barrel. So again, we converted everything, it turned out great.
I don't see a 10-barrel system anywhere at site.
No, this is the 10-barrel system that we're
Oh, okay, so you're at a different location.
Yeah, the different location that we did
With
the 10-barrel
question. Did you forget the question? After all that,
Yeah.
But yeah, what got you into craft? What was the first beer?
I mean,
like,
I go back to Fuller's ESB is also one, and
it's a brotherly thing.
yeah, but there was also the Samuel Smith's, the organic chocolate was in the nut brown.
You're both like from the British mold.
Those were
beers,
to me when I first tried craft beer, the British style were really the only ones you could really find in the stores.
Well, then you went another level with it because Samuel Smith is all organic too.
Yeah.
It was like that was unheard of even back in the day. It was totally organic beers.
And the cool thing is I got to make a trip over as well to Europe, and we went to a couple, we went to Samuel Smith's location over there in London, and it was really cool to go there and kind of bring it full circle. But it's one of our other owners, Alan, we talk about, he got into craft beer back when he went to Europe and realized that there was better beer than American beer, but you couldn't buy it in America, so he wanted to brew it. And that was kind of the same thing as the first craft beers were really.
That was a few years ago.
Yeah, a few years ago.
Unless you were in Indiana and Goose Island was still brewing good beer.
Well, I don't want to call
Eastern Pennsylvania Trogs.
I don't want to call Pete's Wicked Ale a craft beer, but
yeah, probably not. No.
If you remember Pete's Wicked Ale,
Wicked Ale was,
it was good.
Yeah.
It was semi-crafty. It's crafty.
Yeah.
You just poured me Mexican ghost candy, which is amazing. And then what are you?
I'm finishing up my Sir Cockney, which is what we just talked about. Our ESB hybrid.
So where would you go next if you're going to go somewhere? What do you want?
So
to
again,
do next?
it depends on what I drink.
Spin the wheel.
Yeah. So I mean,
The wheel of death.
We talked about a game of horseshoes earlier. Great beer. Again, I would look at one of my favorite beers is Papo Silenus. It was a gold medal winner in the U.S. Beer Open. No adjuncts, just a barrel aged sour. And again, that's again a lot of people. I need adjuncts. But Papo is really where you're getting that beer.
And that looks like it's in a Cabernet barrel.
Yeah,
so
it's in a
wine
Cabernet beer,
barrel.
so you're getting the wood and the cab flavor, but in a sour with no adjuncts.
Right. So a lot of people were doing sours, and it's kettle sour mostly. But when you do now, what they're doing is again, it's unrefined. They're going to do something a little different. So they're taking the sour and then they're going to put it in the barrel, sort of like the traditional sours were done way back in the day, and it gives it a whole nother level of depth and it gives another level of sour. So if you really like sours, you have to really like sours to come here because they do more traditional sours in an untraditional way. Am I speaking
No,
kind
yeah,
of
and
close
especially
to?
with no adjuncts in the sour. Most people, and I would
That
say
is true.
the term Florida Weiss came out of Florida, right? You had the
Of
Berliner
course.
Weiss, German beer. I would get sour, a non-adjunct sour, and I would get syrups, and I would put simple syrups depending on the flavor that I want. Florida, and I don't want to say who came up with it. Maybe Cigar City, maybe Seventh Son, somebody along the line started calling it a Florida Weiss because it was a fruited sour already. The fruit was already there, so you didn't have the simple syrup. So again, I've not heard the term Florida Weiss in many years. That was probably 8 years ago. When now everybody's doing it throughout the world. So the Florida Weiss term got taken away, but we went back with Papo to that original state. We're not going to adjunct this. We're just going to put it in a barrel, and you're going to get the original flavor of this sour beer, and it's going to pick up. You're going to get so much more in that barrel because there's no adjuncts that are covering up that cab barrel, the wood, everything that you're getting that you want to get from that barrel. So again, that's one of my favorite beers that we have. As I said, we won a gold medal in the U.S. Beer Open with that beer. And again, it's simple, right? It's simple. You're not adding 1,000 different flavors to the beer. This is what it is, and it's raw.
Sometimes
form.
It is Kiss.
Yeah, yeah.
Keep it simple.
Yeah. So again, but that would take it back into that traditional, sour genre.
Barreling sour
and without
from Europe.
any adjuncts to it, any flavor. And let it be in its purest form.
Right.
But again, we also have that beer that we added blackcurrant and vanilla to. So if you like, it's not on right now, but if we're giving you both flavors. If you want it, it's simple.
He's just teasing you.
Yeah,
exactly.
and not so much. So again, that's what I would go to. That's one of my favorite ones that we have, just because I prefer barrel-aged beers. I'm going to go to simple beer that tastes like beer.
Right.
Like Sir Cockney, or I'm going to go for something that's barrel-aged. We have barrel-aged stouts, barrel-aged sours, just because I like the complexity that wood and everything that comes into it.
Right. So obviously you have some barrel program
Right.
in your brew house too. So it's amazing. So I see you poured something for yourself.
Of course.
What'd you go for?
I decided to go for the 1732 St. Charles Avenue, which is a dedication to Avenue Pub, where we made the decision in New Orleans.
Hey,
it's a coffee and chicory Russian Imperial
Wow.
Stout. And we used, we cold brewed community coffee to put in there. And we named this after the place we were at that we were
Oh, nice.
10 sheets to the wind, signing
It's
paperwork.
an homage to the decisions.
That's a throwback to our origin.
Just think, if they weren't like 3 sheets to the wind, they might not have opened it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the funny thing is we talk about that.
Cheers to that.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
We talk about everything in the beer names and what
Cheers
came up
to you.
with the beer. So if you look at this, and again, you mentioned some things. I'm in Crisis was one that you mentioned.
I love it. We'll have to get to the names in a minute, but it goes to the beer. But I love that name. I'm in Crisis. I mean, why would you not want to? Well, you might not want to drink that one, but I do.
And again, that was what I was going to bring up is the name of I'm in Crisis. That beer originally was brewed before we owned the brewery on my porch, my back porch when we used to brew. And I had a buddy that was in town from London, but he's Polish, and he owns a craft beer junction. Nice plug for him in London. He also owns a distribution company in London, and our beer has been there. So he sells our beer. We export it.
Actually, I had people come here because they had our beer in London.
Yeah, in
that
London.
was pretty cool.
Wow.
So
Well, wait a second. We got to cheers to that.
yeah, exactly.
We have international beer here.
Yeah.
Cheers
So
to you.
Marcin, and talking about how we got into craft beer, Marcin was in town and we were brewing this on my back porch, and it's a sour, so it takes 2 days to get to sour it and everything else, the lactobacillus. And so he started it with me, and we were going to an Angry Chair event at the Orpheum when they would do Super Rad off-site before they had the nerd location. So when it was all stouts, and we had the second session. The second session, they were out of vodka, so all they had was stouts. It's the only thing that they had. So after an hour and a half of stouts, like you were dying, he powered through. It was a 3-hour session.
Yeah.
So
They do a lot of good stouts.
Yeah, they do a lot of great
For
stouts.
sure.
So he's powering through, and at the end, he grabbed every single 2-ounce pour of every single stout in his glass.
So you do a suicide
Suicide,
stout.
but then he found out that they had a bottle of their rainbow sherbet. So he added rainbow sherbet on top of it. So he had this massive cup of stout and sour, and he chugs it. And he looks at me, and in his Polish accent says, "I'm in crisis." And runs to the bathroom and throws up. So he was brewing this beer with me, so we named it I'm in Crisis.
And you gotta think of I'm in crisis in a thick Polish accent.
Yeah.
He said he forgot how to say help I'm in trouble in English.
In English,
That's all he can think
that
of.
came out was I'm in Crisis, and we were looking at each other like,
What does
do
this
we
mean?
do? So that beer became I'm in Crisis.
Cheers to I'm in Crisis.
Yeah.
There you go.
Was that your favorite beer that you?
No, it's people always ask what's your favorite beer. I'm like, it depends on my mood. I most of the stuff that Gordon does, I really do enjoy, and I never realized how much less I would drink beer being behind a bar at a brewery compared to when I was a customer. But what
you often don't get time. Really.
Yeah, but what you find happens is that you love the stouts and you love the IPAs and you love the sours, but sometimes it's just too much and you just want to. We always joke a beer flavored beer.
Too heavy. Yeah.
And sometimes there's nothing better. We've got this incredible California common that most people in the brewing industry, especially if they're brewers, they'll pick it first because they always say something as simple as that is the best way to find the talent of a brewer.
That is true.
Because it's
true.
And it is also the base of Mexican candy, which is obviously our number one selling beer.
Yes.
But on the board right now, I always describe our beer, us as a brew lab. We early on he would say, "What's the worst thing that can happen? I dump a batch." With Game of Horseshoes, we were talking about it earlier. If you don't try it,
really, that's where you have to be.
if you don't try it, you don't know.
Right.
And some of the best stuff that we've done have come with
It's a
that
little tougher
attitude.
at 10 barrels than it is at 2.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we learned that too. Yeah, we learned that too. But right now I'm drinking stouts. I love stouts, even though the weather's warm.
Right.
I
always
drank a
stout
stout
season.
earlier. It's always stout season.
Right. So,
But-
while you're talking about stouts, real quick. So, everybody has kind of like a business model in mind and the way they do beers. Yours is an interesting take because and I guarantee you almost everybody's like, we're going to be IPAs. Yeah, IPAs, bro. But they're not IPAs. What are you guys about? You guys are about
Sours and stouts.
sours and stouts.
And the interesting is we just heard a stat that 65% of revenue from craft beer is IPAs, and that's growing, which is insane to me, right? Absolutely insane. Yet you look at our board and we have 2 IPAs on it.
We have 20 taps, 2 IPAs.
Yeah.
Again, you're unrefined.
Yeah.
If we had our choice, it might be 0 IPAs.
Yeah.
But that's cool. So, why did you come up with the idea of sours and stouts and then fly in the face of, besides being unrefined, I get it, but why not?
I will say because those are the 2 beers when I was brewing at home that I brewed. That I
Okay.
knew how to brew, right? I mean, again, I had no idea how to brew anything else. I was like, I know how to brew sours and stouts. I'm like, guess what? You're brewing everything. Like, so.
But
again,
what comes out of that is our, and he did it on his back porch too, but beer that's won a medal every time we've entered it is our Gordalicious, or Vanilla Gordalicious, the pumpkin ale.
Right.
Most people, they brew these pumpkin beers and they add adjuncts after the fact, or they add
Correct.
pumpkin spice. We were actually baking pumpkin, throwing it in,
Right.
Destroying the system in the
cleanup is
process.
so much fun.
Yeah, sort of like the Mike and Ike.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, the Mike and Ike's, we threw candy in, Mexican candy. He swings by the farmer's market and buys 140 jalapenos.
Why not?
Every 4 weeks.
And ninja them.
And
By the way-
ninjas them and throws them in.
By the way, I'm going to jump in right now and tell you that Mexican candy, this is a no-brainer. Mexican candy is a wizard's pick of the place. It's just an amazing, which, by the way, is not a sour or a stout, which we're going to talk to them about, but definitely is a wizard's pick. And I'm drinking the ghost candy, Mexican ghost candy, which is just a twist on it with a lot of pepper and ghost pepper. And me, wizard, I like peppers. So this is a really good one too. So I would pick both of the Mexican candies as a wizard's pick. But so
We kind of call that the son of Mexican candy.
the son of, yeah. So son of. So how did a place that was so much about sours and so much about stouts have Mexican candy become the number one selling beer?
So lager. I love the fact that you said lager because that's what it is. It's in that lager tree. Because again, California Common is a steam beer. People probably don't know anchor steam. Again, during the gold rush, we need to produce beer faster. Lagering takes anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks.
Correct.
I can now ferment with lager used at higher temperatures and bust it out in 2 weeks. Excuse me. So what we had is every investor, so we wanted all our friends to be involved in this outside of the 5 stupid ones that went all in. And we
In the beginning.
Yeah, in the beginning. We said, hey, do you guys want to put a little bit of money in? It wasn't a lot. But if you put money in, you get to brew a beer with me. And they're like, oh, awesome. And one guy, I'm not going to name names, everybody knows who he is. He said,
You know who you are.
He said, I want a Bud Light with strawberries and jalapenos. And I'm like, no one's ever going to buy this. And I'm not lagering, so I'm just going to
You
make
think
it.
this dude was sitting there drinking Bud Light like, this would be so much better with strawberries?
And I said, okay, I'm
Or was he actually crushing strawberries and put it in?
I don't know. And I said, guess what? Okay, we're not going to do it, but we're going to do a California Comics. I wasn't going to spend the damn time. So, no lie. I'm doing 2 barrels on our old system, right? And I'm brewing it. And I'm like, no one's going to buy this. No one's going to buy it. So I separate it. I do 1 barrel. And he doesn't even know this. Now he probably does. It was supposed to be, everybody was supposed to be able to brew 2 barrels. I separated it. I said, we're going to do 1 barrel of drywall and dreadlocks. 1 barrel, which
All right.
came up with the name. 1 barrel, but that's named after him and he knows why as well. It's not good. 1 barrel of Mexican candy. We did the Mexican
Which is
candy.
amazing. Mexican candy is way better than this.
Yeah, so no, then we pull off, we keg Mexican candy, we put it on tap, and myself and Alan try it, because no one's ever gonna buy this. This tastes so bad. 3 weeks in, we sell out of Mexican candy, and I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. So that's how we ended up brewing a California Common, because he wanted a Bud Light with jalapenos and strawberries.
And we've not been able to take it off since. It's our number 1 seller. It's our number 1 merchandise. We're sponsoring the St. Pete Tacos and Tequila Festival with
saw that. I
Mexican
saw that. A
candy
recent
in
post.
May.
That's
It's our number
awesome.
1 distribution beer. It's the 1 beer we have on static tap handles at most locations, and it has spawned other beers.
Yeah.
And while we don't get it, it's a good quality beer, and
Right.
and
What you
people
have to
love
get-
it.
What you do have to get is it's a good flavor. It's good.
People like
it's
it, but
solid.
again, I put it as this way. You have that artist that their number 1 song they hate singing.
Yes.
It's like Leonard Skinner and Freebird.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Freebird!
Yeah.
Sing Freebird! Mexican candy! Mexican
but
candy.
I will say it's a well-constructed beer. Not
It is.
lie, it's a
It
well-constructed
is.
beer. For me, the issue is I just don't like jalapenos.
Right.
So again, I think you have, but I didn't realize how many people like jalapenos. It's insane to me. Like I didn't realize that many people like jalapenos.
There is a whole genre of people out there about peppers. I love peppers, and I brew with peppers. And where I brewed, there was a couple pepper beers. I even did a ghost. No, it wasn't ghost pepper. It was Trinidad Scorpion.
Oh wow.
Arguably the second hottest pepper in the world. Mango, honey, Trinidad Scorpion, pepper, ale. Pale ale. So
like
it
for
was,
me, I mean-
it was amazing. And we would do a challenge, and you put people would want to do a slice of it was not hot enough. They wanted a slice of the Trinidad Scorpion thrown in there. I've seen grown men cry.
And then the next day,
Have you seen a grown man cry?
the next day they were really crying when that came out.
Well, that's right. You know what I called it? Ring of Fire.
Yeah, exactly.
When they were drinking it, they thought of Johnny Cash. When they were doing something else, they were thinking, Wizard!
Yeah. I mean, but again, I have no problem with,
And cheers to that.
Cheers. Cheers to that.
I have no problem, like cayenne is in stripper names. I mean, we use pepper in other beer, but at the end of the day, it's like jalapenos. I feel like there's certain people that
And he
love
just said stripper names, which that is an amazing beer. I would say that's a Wizard's pick, and that's almost a no-brainer. It's won an award, so that's kind of stupid on my part to even pick it, but I would have to pick it because it's amazing beer. And
Did you get the name on it? Why it's called stripper names?
I'm sure you're going to enlighten me on the.
Well, I said we're putting cinnamon, cayenne, and vanilla in this,
There
and
you
he
go.
said those are stripper names. So it became stripper names.
It won a silver at Best Florida Beer. When they announced the beer name, it was like all the brewers in the area just started laughing. And
Well, it makes sense, yeah.
True story. A couple Sundays ago, when I was working, a girl came in who said she was a dancer, and she bought it and laughed because of the name.
Yeah.
And I said, "No, you aren't." She goes,
Was
"As
she-
a matter
was
of
she
fact,
cinnamon or
no." She
cayenne?
said she's danced with a cinnamon and a cayenne.
Oh, yeah.
She wanted to inform me that there is
she
no
must have been-
vanilla.
Oh,
There is
she
no
must not
vanilla. That's true, circus.
Not yet. She has not met it.
Yeah, exactly.
She has not met vanilla.
But again, and the other thing is we love to have fun with our names, right? So we have a beer that's not on tap right now called Pissworm Chongo from Desperado, where Buscemi comes in and, what's your beer? Pissworm Chongo. He goes, that's my flavor. Again, if people actually come in and say, does it taste like piss? When I was bartending, I said,
I've had-
yes, because we pissed in it.
Well,
but you're not allowed to say
I actually would say,
Obviously, Gordon is not allowed to bartend.
Yeah, he got fired, remember?
This is why Tommy and other people are bartending.
Ryan, Tommy, not Gordon.
That's why you know Ryan and you don't know Gordon as much. 'Cause
He's behind the scenes.
Once a
He's a good
year we'll
friend,
do
man.
it. But
Exactly,
again,
once a year.
we like to have fun with the names, and again, try not to, again, just have fun with them, and let's see what happens. If people come in and they laugh at the names, and sometimes they'll order a beer. I'd order a beer for a crazy name just for fun, right?
I mean, and we get a lot of compliments. So our artist does a great job. We get a lot of compliments on the sign, and people appreciate that we're being creative with it versus, versus just putting a board up and just having people read from a board. So we try to have fun with everything and try to represent the name as much as we can in the artwork so that people can enjoy it. And a lot of our stuff references either TVs or movies. We like to, we love our pop culture. It just means that we spend way too much time as children watching really stupid 80s and 90s movies.
But that's what you can do as a brewery. That's what's having fun about it, and that's what I love about this place. I love about these guys, that they're making really solid beers, amazing beers, trust me. But they don't take themselves too serious because they make fun, lighthearted, jokey kind of names, but they're serious about their beer, and their beer is amazing. And segue into this, I wanted to try, hey, it's a stout place, so I wanted to try a stout, and this is Schmorio. It's a 13% stout, and it's just amazing. I mean, it tastes like s'mores on steroids. Like really, this is a beautiful beer. I mean, I'm only taking a couple sips, but
Our whole idea on that, it was actually, we talked about.
I mean, you literally taste like s'mores, but you get the beer too.
Our whole goal was s'mores with Oreos, right?
Yeah.
So you get that Oreo on the back end. So it's named after our lawyer, Brandon Shmula, Schmorios, because he had the idea for it. His name's Shmula, so we added Schmorios to it. So again, that was his idea. We originally would brew that on my back porch.
Yeah.
And that was like the first big stout that we brewed. And that was, I think, our first beer that we brewed here.
Yeah, first one ever.
And we barrel aged it multiple times.
So this is probably the most grain you ever bought as a home brewer, to do this beer. Like
Double
this
mash,
is,
it sucks. Like,
I always tell people that's the reason we exist, Schmorios, because that was the beer that got people in Gordon's
Fired
circle
up. And then it
that
made
said,
you-
hey, you need to try this as a
and it made
profession.
Gordon realize that he's got a talent and he could really do more with it. So that's great. Talked a little bit about everything, about the styles and where you came from, but let's talk where you're going. Where do you envision yourself? Where do you see yourself going? Like in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Where do you want this to go?
I mean, I think it depends on who you ask, right?
Yeah.
I would like to be in a closet brewing and
I'm
away from everybody.
That's fine. You can still do that. That's fine. You just have to have a mad scientist machine.
Exactly.
So he just wants to keep brewing and
Keep
whatever.
brewing, again, from my standpoint.
So, and from your standpoint, what size system you want to be brewing on?
Yeah, exactly. I still, and he knows this, and he'll tell you an answer on the tap room and distribution and taking over the world. But for me, it's just as long as I can still drive him crazy by him having 20 taps and giving him 50 beers to put on.
That crazy creative, the unrefined spirit has to continue.
Yeah, well, and I tell people ask all the time. I mean, I've never been happier. I was in downtown Houston working in the corporate world, highly stressed.
You get off the rat wheel. You get off the wheel. Hamster wheel.
At the end of the day, I just want to pay my bills. I think this is the greatest retirement plan ever. And when I say that, I make sure to let people know I don't mean sell out and get on a private jet. I'm wearing pretty much what I like to wear.
Yeah.
I have a Jeep. I'm not a highfalutin type. I'm unrefined. Pinkies down all the time.
Cheers to that.
Yeah,
Cheers to unrefined. We've said it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
We got to cheers to the name because we've said it a lot. It means a lot. Cheers to you.
From a goal perspective, I think most of us are the same. We want to get to a point where Unrefined Brewing can pay our personal bills. Maybe take a vacation once a year, but that's it.
And not have Gordon do this.
Not have him have to work.
Gordon at the bar.
Just have him in the back room
Somebody
brewing.
else can do that.
But I think that for
That's
all
when
of us
you know
involved,
you made it. When you take a vacation and Gordon doesn't have to
fill in, then we've made it. But that's where we want to be. And I don't know. The cool thing about what we've done is we don't know how that might happen. A lot of businesses are very meticulous in planning things out. We tried that, and the planning didn't work.
Right.
I go back to the napkin we wrote on at Avenue Pub. That worked better. than us sitting back and trying to make a
Overthink
plan.
it, right, overthink
So you know, we're kind of just so far we've been flying by the seat of our pants, but it's working out because the beer's good, people want it, people love it,
amazing.
and I think it's right time, right place, and
Right.
in a few years we're going to be at a point where I think that Unrefined Brewing can pay our bills, you know, our personal bills along with the company's bills, and we can, you know, I'd love to be back here when I'm 70, you know, 70,
Kicking
75, serving people beer.
Well, you already made one step from the 2-barrel to the 10. We saw that,
Yeah.
so that's a big step, guys. So congratulations there.
You know, let's go to 150 barrel fermenter.
Why not?
Right?
Exactly.
Why not?
You just have to make breaks a little bit.
Yeah,
better.
exactly.
So I mean,
With bigger spoons.
I mean, really, cheers to you and what you've been able to accomplish. I mean, your beers are amazing. The story is amazing. This experience today has been amazing, and your future looks bright. I think that you guys just keep doing what you're doing. I think the Unrefined is truly, you got to keep that woven into your spirit into the future, and then all things are looking up for you guys. I see a bright future for
That's
you
because
guys
it's
for
going
sure.
from one yinzer to two yinzers,
Say
right?
that it's a yinzer to yinzer.
Yeah, exactly. I should have worn my yinzer shirt
Exactly.
today.
Or your hill shirt. That was
Yeah,
the
my
thing. But yeah, from one yinzer to the other yinzer, just keep it real and do what you do. You're from Pittsburgh. You work
Maybe
You work
one
hard.
day our beer could be in Kennywood. Do they even have beer at Kennywood?
Yours will be the first.
There we go.
Cheers.
Cheers to unrefined beer.
Cheers
at
to
Kennywood
Wizard.
Park.
Kennywood.
And Kennywood Park.
How cool was this? This was an amazing experience. I hope it comes across on film as well as it does in person. Like Gordon and Tommy and Ryan, such an amazing spirits, and they're making such great beer. This is one of the places you have to come to. Funny, they're amazing. Their beers are absolutely delicious. They're unrefined in their beer making, but Gordon's classically trained for sure, I'll tell you that. And it's just a really great vibe. It's one more reason to come to Tarpon. It's one more reason to drink craft beer. And it's one more reason to support local breweries. You gotta get here, you gotta be here. Look for us down the road a little bit. I'm trying to pull some new shows. We got some stuff in the works. You're gonna love it. And cheers to you.
You can go over there and eat some of the grain.
I did.
Did you? My
I
farmer,
already
every time he
did.
comes to pick it up, he eats
I
some of the
always
grain.
ate with a little bit coming out. I always tested it
yeah.
to see how much sugar was still there, or how it tasted. It was good. That's what I do. I'm like, oh, fresh grain. Let's
Yeah.
dig in here.
Hey, because of this, I bought a cow. So
Yeah.
I own a cow now.
Is that where you take it then?
No, so my horse is where the farmer's cows are. My horse is such a it beat up the bull, pissed off the bull.
Wow.
He removed most of his cows from that property, and then one
The
of the
horse
cows.
is a bad.
Horse. So then it's my daughter's horse. So then the horse needs friends, and this one cow's its friend, but nobody's ever been able to touch this damn cow. It's not even tagged.
Yeah.
So my daughter is the only one that's ever been able to touch this cow. So Russ is like, hey, we're gonna shoot the cow unless you want to buy it. And my daughter's like, no, you can't shoot, because he was gonna butcher it. So now
A new pet.
So now I own a cow. So he didn't butcher the cow,
Yeah,
but she
that's
might be pregnant, which is good. So it's a 2-for-1.
Yeah, great.
You know. So now because I own a brewery and have grain, I own a cow.
Nice.
Moral of the story: don't buy breweries.